everything around you has been influenced somehow, some way by our Texas legislature. This includes how much your parents spend on taxes at the grocery store, and what kind of curriculum y'all receive in the school. But you might be wondering, why do we have Texas legislature? Well, here's a little background on it. The Constitution of 1869 had greatly expanded the powers of the governor of Texas. Edmund Davis, who was a radical Republican, actually governed underneath this Constitution and made a very corrupt administration. And to prevent this from happening again, we actually wrote the Constitution of 1876 because of this. The beginning of limited government had begun, which is why the governor of Texas also shares the powers of political influences with the leaders of the Texas House of Representatives and the Texas Senate. Now that you know a bit of the history, who and what exactly are the Texas House of Representatives and the Senate? The Texas House of Representatives are composed of 150 members. Each of these members serve 2-year terms, and members of the House of Representatives must be 21 years of age, qualified voters, U.S. citizens, residents of Texas for 2 years, and they must be residents of the districts from which he or she is chosen for just 1 year. The House of Representatives is led by the Speaker of the House, who is currently Joe Strauss, and the Speaker of the House is elected by the members at the beginning of the regular session. Now, the Speaker has a lot of power. He has the power of recognition, which basically means that he gets to decide who basically speaks at the regular sessions. He can decide to skip over somebody or ignore them, so they don't actually get to speak their minds during the legislation. And now you might be wondering what the Senate does. The Senate does exactly the same thing, except it is composed of 31 members, and they serve 4-year terms. And each of these members represent a separate geographical district in the state. Senators serve 4-year terms, and they must be at least 26 years old, U.S. citizens, qualified voters, and residents of Texas for at least 5 years. They must be residents of their districts for at least 1 year. The Senate is led by the Lieutenant Governor, who is currently Dan Patrick, and it is elected statewide for a 4-year term. He acts as President of the Senate, but is not an actual member, unlike the Speaker of the House. The Lieutenant Governor may also can only vote to break a tie. But the Lieutenant Governor doesn't have the power that the Speaker of the House does. He only has control over the votes, at least because of 1/3 of the membership on issues that are important to him, according to a Senate rule. Well, what do they have in common? Well, they both have to meet in regular session for at least 140 days every odd number year, as well as special sessions, which can be called on by the governor, and meetings of committees when not only in session. They must also have jobs that allow them flexibility to run for office and also to attend these regular sessions, so that is why most of them are attorneys of law. Some powers that they both share are passing bills and resolutions, and they can have great influences over fates of bills. Electoral powers, which means counting returns in the elections for governor and lieutenant governor. Investigative powers, which make them able to investigate problems facing the state. Directive and supervisory powers, which give them considerable legislative control over the executive branch of government and determines the size of the appropriation each agency has to spend for the next 2 years. They can also decide whether to impeach someone of the executive and judicial branches of the state government. They also have the committee assignment power, but both of them having major roles in appointing the membership of committees, chair of committees, and setting the legislative agenda. After getting some explanation on who just these people are and what their jobs are, you can understand how they affect our everyday lives.